Hello ladies and gentlemen and everyone beyond, I am BabyNoobCakes and this is PlayStation Plus Reviews. And on this episode, we're going to be taking a look at one of the January 2020 free games, Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection. This time, we're going to be doing it a little bit differently since this is actually 3 games in one, and I'll be breaking the review into 3 parts, covering each of the games included. And as an added bonus, throughout the 3 reviews, I'll be talking about how the games evolved between each sequel. I actually played these games back on the PlayStation 3 when they first came out, but it has been a long time since I've played through them. And so I'm going to try to frame this review for those of you who've never played them before. All 3 of them are pretty story heavy, so I will try not to spoil any of the plot points, but you may see some footage from locations a little bit later in the game. But now, I will attempt to answer the question, as one of the free games of the month, was it worth it? Mechanics. At the core, this game is a third-person cover-based shooter with some very light stealth elements. When I say stealth, what I mean is that if you are able to get behind an enemy before the whole group of them notice you, you can do an instant takedown. However, there are no sneaking mechanics, like crouching or moving silently, so once one of them notices you, everyone in the whole world knows where you are.
He's over there! You gotta be kidding me!
There's also a melee attack system in the game, but it always felt a bit strange to me that you'd ever want to break cover and run up to the hordes of enemies who are all shooting at you. It will, however, net you some extra ammo if you're able to punch a guy out. When I originally played this game, back on the PS3, I never noticed how janky some of the controls were. And here is where we start a trend that you'll hear me repeating throughout this review. This game is beginning to show its age. The game was released on November 20th, 2007, and we've come to expect so much more responsiveness and fleshed out controls in the past 13 years that it just really feels like a game from the previous generation. There are also some really light puzzle-solving elements, which usually just involve opening the journal that Nathan carries around, looking at a set of objects or symbols, then interacting with those objects or symbols in the world, and puzzle solved. Or, the other option is, find the button that opens the door, and then go through the door. The last mechanic is what I can only call platforming, but not in a Crash Bandicoot or Mario type of way. It's closer to something like Assassin's Creed or Infamous, but the paths you can climb are predetermined, rather than having every single building in the entire city to traverse. That leads me to the point that, for the most part, these games are really linear, but they really use that linearity to tell their story more effectively, by not getting bogged down by irrelevant details or side paths. On a side note, whenever you jump at a correct point, like the edge of a ledge, or down onto a lower platform, or up onto a higher platform,
Be careful up there.
you will get a very large and pronounced jump animation. But if you just jump in the middle of a field, or at an unclimbable part of a wall, you get this tiny little worthless little jump that just makes me laugh. Art style. At this point, you might already be thinking that I don't like this game very much. However, I don't think that the mechanical aspects of the Uncharted games are why people have liked them so much. I do know that there is a dedicated fan base for the multiplayer in the later games, but these remakes don't have that, so I can't really comment on it too much, and I never played it much when it was around. Anyway, the real draw of this series, I think, has always been the fact that they feel like you are playing through an action movie, and the lush landscapes, dark tombs, and fantastical set pieces are what really set Uncharted apart from other cover-based shooters. And these environments are very pretty, and the overall camera work really sells this epic tale and makes this look like an Indiana Jones or National Treasure movie. Like I said earlier, this game is showing its age, but with the graphics, they were updated with the release on the PS4, but you can still see that this is a 13-year-old game with a new coat of paint. It is by no means terrible, but it's definitely noticeable. Sound. Amazing music, and that theme. Bum-bum-bum. They have Greg Edmondson on the soundtrack, who will continue with the games throughout the trilogy, bringing his heart-pounding, orchestrated pieces that highlight the action and bring about feelings of tension and evoke a sense of urgency. However, there are some parts of the game that are a bit weirdly silent. It's not terrible, but it's something I've never really noticed before.
Sweet.
This is, however, offset by the quality sound effects in this game. Some very punchy guns, the grinding of stone in ancient mechanisms.
Wow, this looks promising.
And an expertly delivered voiceover from the cast.
Should have seen that one coming.
Replayability. This game lasts anywhere from 6 to 9 hours for a regular playthrough. And once you've played through it the first time, there really isn't much more to see in terms of story, but there are 6 difficulty levels to play through and 61 treasures to collect throughout the game. I only found a handful in my playthrough to capture footage for this game, and with as linear as this game is, that really means you need to be looking hard to find all of them. Narrative. This is where I believe the game truly shines, and where the success of this franchise lies. The characters you meet and take with you on your journey across the globe are some of the most memorable in any video game. There's the protagonist, Nathan Drake, who always has a witty quip or one-liner.
Man only interested in the climax. He must be a real hit with the ladies.
His partner, Victor Sullivan, or Sully to his friends, who is really just an older and wiser version of Drake, who, it seems, has already done his fair share of tomb raiding in his youth.
What the hell, Sully?
Nate, I'm not looking for a lousy piece of tin. I'm up to my eyeballs in debt.
And, to round out the cast, Elena Fisher, the reporter, who has nerves of steel and always has her camera in hand, trying to get everything on film. Drake actually reminds me a lot of the lead character of Big Trouble in Little China, Jack Burton. That is, if Jack Burton could actually handle a gun, and could avoid being knocked out at the beginning of every fight. But seriously, if you like Nathan Drake's character, go watch that movie. You'll love it.
What?
As for the story itself, I'll try to give you a light summary without actually spoiling anything from the game. You start off by following Drake and Elena in search of secrets hidden by Drake's ancestor, Sir Francis Drake, the real-life famous explorer, knight, and pirate who circumnavigated the globe in 3 years.
What the hell?
In the opening cutscene of the game, you find a secret journal written by Francis Drake and begin following the clues to the lost, legendary city.
El goddamn Dorado.
The rest of the story follows Drake, Sully, and Elena, finding more and more secrets about the truth of El Dorado and its location. All the while, they are pursued by the silver-haired treasure hunter who doesn't work alone. He has hired Atok Navarro and Eddie Raja, and their bands of mercenaries, who you'll be fighting throughout the game. My opinion. I personally always have had a lot of fun raiding tombs with Nathan and the gang. And truly, the best way to describe these games is a playable action movie. And the team at Naughty Dog really captured that feeling, even in this first installment in the series. The characters are really well written and genuinely funny. The plot is goofy and a bit unbelievable, but it has the fun factor turned up to 11, just like any good action movie. However, this game is not without its flaws. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned the janky gunplay, and when that is the main gameplay loop, it can sometimes become really frustrating to get to the next section of the game. But that's where the strength of the writing comes into play. You'll want to reach the next section, no matter how frustrated you get.
Well, you get what you pay for, I suppose. And what about you, Navarro? Are you worth what I'm paying you?
Was it worth it? After writing this script, I feel like I've been pretty harsh on this game. And I have, but that's because I enjoyed playing the Uncharted series. But I think after looking at them again, I maybe saw more flaws than I have in the past. But that's only because I'm trying to make sure that you all see what you're getting into before downloading these PS Plus games, and determine if the games you're getting for free are worth your subscription. And with this month, I'm actually gonna wait to make a final determination about the collection until we've reviewed all three. But as a standalone game, I think I'm gonna have to say that this one is kinda in the middle. A lot of people have already played Uncharted, and as I've said before, this game really shows its age. So with a bit of a lackluster start, you'll have to wait for the next few reviews to find out whether or not the Nathan Drake collection is worth it. Also, don't forget to go onto the PlayStation Store and download your free games every month, because sometimes you'll end up with a few gems. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.